instructor at the House of Juway Martial Arts Academy in Brazil, Indiana. I'm currently a third-degree black belt in Gyodokan, Kaizen, Kempo. What we teach in the school is a little bit of everything. We teach all the 4 ranges of fighting, ranging from kicking, punching, knees and elbows, to grappling, and everything in between. What I'm going to focus on today in this video is going to be joint locking. Joint locking is continuously misunderstood, and many people have trouble with joint locks, and they discard joint locks aside because they feel as if it's not a viable technique or something that doesn't work when you're in a real confrontation or an altercation with someone. For personal experience, I have used joint locks many times in law enforcement on individuals that were not compliant. Today, I'm going to give you an idea of how we do it here so that you can integrate this into your program to become more effective with these techniques. Cameron Provides is going to be one of my assistants along with Brandon Garvin to help understand this, or my new gaze. You've seen locks many times. Everybody knows how to do a reverse wrist lock, which looks like this. All right? The problem is they don't know how to do these locks to make them very effective. A basic wrist lock is easy because you just throw somebody down and they fall down. But no one can really figure out how to crank someone to get an effect, to make them drop like this. What did I do so different to get such a dramatic effect? I'm going to explain that to you. If you look at Cameron's body, if I turn his wrist all the way over, okay, if I look at his hand, it's meant to bend this direction, and it's meant to bend this direction slightly, okay, but it's only meant to bend so far. The anatomy of the hand, you've got all these tendons and ligaments that run down the arm into the knuckles, into the fingers. If you look, for example, just relax your hand. When I squeeze the inner side of his forearm, watch his fingers here. Watch what his fingers do. It's all connected. I mean, sure, we've had classes, anatomy classes in school or whatnot, and we learn this stuff, but a lot of times when you do a technique, you discard this and you forget about it and you leave it out. So, if I take this concept, if I imagine there's rubber bands connected down his arm, they can only stretch so far, okay? For example, I know that I can bend his wrist like this, right? And if I continue to bend it, I'm going to get a pain response out of him like so, because it hurts. But how do I do it to a point to where when I bend this, I can make him fall down? That's the difference, okay? Because you have to know all the different angles and directions where you can turn something or crank something to make it effective. Now, what I use is called the quadrant theory. It's something that was passed down to me from my instructors, and I want to hand this down to you today because not only do you use this when you're applying joint locks, but you can use it in all of your techniques, your sparring and everything else. It's easy to see that when I have Cameron standing here, I've got his right side and I've got his left side. Okay, if you think of yin and yang or night and day, sun and moon, it's no different with the body. Right side, left side. This side of the body is allergic to this side of the body. They don't want to meet. Okay? For example, if I look at his arm, you know that you can squeeze a muscle to cause someone to feel pain. If I squeeze the inner portion of his bicep and the outer side of his bicep and I try to make them meet, watch what he does. Because it's painful. Besides the fact I've got all these nerves that are running here that I'm squeezing. Because that hurts. The body says, well, wait a minute, I don't like that, stop. Okay? Now, if I cut him in half across this midsection, he's got an upper side of his body and a lower side of his body. It's hard to bend over and touch your toes because your upper body doesn't want to meet because all the stuff in between is connected. When you stretch it out too far, it's painful and it's not very flexible. So you use this in a way to understand how to stretch things out to the point of no return where they can't take it anymore. So if I take this half reverse wrist lock, just like this, which you've probably done in your art because most people do this. I turn his hand, his palm is facing the opposite direction here, and I torque, just like this. Okay? If I crank this, where the pain is right here in his wrist, right in this small centralized location. If I focus on this with my hand itself to create this pain here, using the quadrant theory to cause pain. So how do you grab the hand to make that happen? All right? Think of a fulcrum, lever, and a base. That's taken right out of small circle jiu-jitsu. All right. Fulcrum being here, where I actually place my hand on this hand. Maybe the other hand so you can see. Being here, where I actually place my fingers on this hand here. The lever will be the piece that is actually turning the hand, and the base will be this, for example. Okay, if you picture a big handle sticking up out of the floor that can move back and forth this way to open or close a gate or something, all right, like a floodgate. It's bolted to the floor. That's its base. It means it can't move. If you don't bolt something down and you try to move it, it just flies all over the place. There's too much play in it. There's too much space. You can't control it. When I bolt that down and I grab the lever, there's a point where that lever meets the base and I can push it to the left or the right. That is your fulcrum. That's where it moves back and forth, like a seesaw. If I put a seesaw on something and it moves up and down, it's on a fulcrum. Okay? So I create the fulcrum and my lever here, and I twist just like this to make it hurt. That's easy to understand. Everybody understands how to do that. It's part of your locking. Okay? Now, if I look at the quadrant theory, I've got to put both of these together. Let me explain this in detail. If I cut the camera in half, I got side one, I got side two. Cut it in half here, I got side one, this piece here, side one, two over here, 3, 4, okay? 5 on the back, because I cut him in half the long ways. Turn around. Because he's still cut in half here too. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay? Now, if I place him in this lock, which looks just like this, the position of his hand, can you see it? Okay? And I crank his hand in this manner. Facebook, directly Facebook. I'm going to crank this and focus the pressure right here to the same side in quadrant 1. I get a response, yes, it hurts. This is what most people do. They do this, and they're like, man, I don't understand how to make you fall down. Why is it not hurting you? Okay? So when I get to here, I don't get a great response. So if I straighten his arm out, everything's stretched out, and I imagine the rubber bands running up to his hand, and I'm stretching him, I stretch quadrant 2 over here, and it hurts a little bit more. I'm taking the quadrant 3 down here. It hurts a lot more. So I'm going to take it all the way to the point that's furthest away from this, which would be his heel on the back side, the opposite side of his body, all the way back there. So watch the difference when I crank it to that point. He goes all the way down. I didn't even have to use his hand yet. Now I can kick him or whatever I want to do because he's at my mercy. Regardless of the type of block that you do, whether it be a reverse wrist lock, an elbow wrist lock, say a gooseneck, a basic wrist lock, no matter what it is, or how I do the throw, or let's just say I decide to throw him, I've got to stretch all this out to get that effect. Use your quadrant theory. I'm going to give you 2 series of joint locks today. I'm going to show you how to do a joint lock flow. How to take a couple of joint locks and put them together where you can take these and practice these so you can flow with these just as you do your hand or your punching or your kicking techniques as you're doing your sparring combinations. The first one is going to be based off of reverse wrist lock. When I turn him over to here, this is reverse wrist lock. A lock or a hold is not a primary fighting technique. Okay? There's only so long I can hold someone in this lock before they're going to become non-compliant. They're not going to feel the pain anymore. They're going to fight against me and rise to me. If I have someone in this position and he looks at me like this, I'm in trouble. That means either he doesn't feel joint locks or I've got to do something else like punch him in that eye he's looking at me with. Otherwise, he's going to raise up, elbow me in the face, or he's going to spin around and elbow me in the side of the head, or he's going to do something and he's going to whoop me. I don't want that to happen. Okay? So, the flow is going to be reverse wrist lock. I know he's coming up because he's looking at me. I grasp his thumb, I turn into a chicken wing position, which is here, which is extremely painful. Then I use my footwork, changing, grasping the hand, mawate, turning around and throwing him down. Which is back to the same position, reverse wrist lock. I will show you how to do this in detail. Alright, now man, first take technique we're going to cover is reverse wrist lock off of a grab, whether it be a choke, a lapel grab, or something to that extent. I want to do a lapel grab because if someone grabs you by the shirt, go ahead and grab you. Typically they're going just one hand. Typically they're going to punch you with that hand. They're going to grab you, and as soon as they grab you, they're going to hit you. All right, go ahead and attack me realistically. That's bad. From this point, I can't get a lock from this point. I got to do something else. I got to do some other way. All right. So, in order to obtain a lock, because many people, when they get grabbed by someone, they don't do realistic self-defense, either in their schools or in their training. Say if you're a correctional officer or a police officer, you don't do realistic training. Okay. So they grab here and then they try to fight and get this lock going at it. He's not going to let me have this lock. I'm going to try to turn him in a basic wrist lock fashion. Going at it. That takes too long. If anything takes longer than a second, as soon as he grabs me and I try to do this, he's going to punch me in the face. Oh, it's too late. I got knocked out. No matter what degree black belt you are, if you get punched in the face, nobody's punched for you, you got knocked out. Okay? So, in order to get this, I've got to take his mind off of this. He's very strong. When he rolls his hands up in my clothing, I can't peel it off. If he grabs me by the throat, sure, I can peel a hand off because I pull towards the thumb. That's the weakest part of the hand. Okay? Everybody knows that. Every art teaches that. That's the weakest part of the hand. Grab it. Pull away. Oh, wow. All right? Everybody teaches that in their art. All right? But they forget about this, when the hands are wrapped up in the clothing. All right? I'd have to do something different. I'd have to milk his thumb or something to get him let go of me and then hit him. But no matter what, I'm always going to have to hit him to get his hand off of me. So, in what I teach, if he grabs me, whatever he touches me with is mine. I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to break his arm off and beat him with it. He shouldn't have put his hands on me. He went past the point of no return. So I'm going to reach across. I'm going to grab his hand with the opposite hand. As soon as I grab, I must immediately strike him. I will open palm strike to the face. It's great to teach this to people because everybody knows to do this. Oh, please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. Bang, bang, I can hit him. This is a sign of compliance. Oh, please don't hurt me. He's not expecting me to strike him with these open hands. I can generate more power with an open hand than I can a fist. This is all skull. It's all bone. Bone on bone. I mean, yeah, it hurts, but it hurts me too. So if I palm him and I hit him, it's going to generate power. It's going to hurt him one. It's going to hurt me. Then I can follow up and strike him some other way. All right? But I still got this on me. I got to get this off me. I don't want this on me. This is grappling. I got to get it away from me. Okay? So, back leg. I see this aggressor. He's standing in a posture that is threatening to me. He's got one foot back behind him. He's got his fist clenched. That's a sign of aggression. He hasn't even said to me yet. He's looking at me with a chin. He's going to punch me. Or he's going to do something. He's going to grab me or do something. If somebody grabs you, they already made up their mind that they can whoop you because they're either bigger or stronger or intoxicated or something to that effect. So they're going to put their hands on you. So he grabs me. As soon as he grabs me, bang, I got to hit him. I got to act. I can't wait. Can't wait. So as soon as I grab it, I hit, he forgets about this hand. I grab with the opposite hand, I'm going to turn his palm towards him, just like this. Now what's exposed? All of the parts of his body he doesn't want me to hit. I don't have to joint lock him if I don't want to. I can just beat him to death with my hands and feet if I want. But I like to joint lock. I can do both. I can joint lock, break something, and hit him too if I want to. Alright? So I turn this over. From this point, I'm going to use a quadrant theory. When I get his palm to this point, everything's stretched out to the max to this point. On the back of his elbow, right where it bends, right here, right above the ulna bone, is triple warmer 11 is what is called traditional Chinese medicine, but there's also fusiform fiber nerves in here. So when I rub these, look at the effect I get. He gives me his arm. Now, not everyone feels this, so I've got to do this in a way to make it work on everybody. Even if they don't feel joint locks, I'm still going to get a generalized effect by rubbing down on this, using the bone of my hand, the pisiform bone of my hand, rubbing down to that point while still cranking. So I'm doing this as I crank this. So he grabs it back, strike, heel, turn over. Look here. When I put it all together, watch what he does. He goes down to here. Now, the crank, quadrant theory, this motion. I also twisted his hand and I pushed. This motion, I took it to quadrant 8 when I did that. Watch again. If I take it to quadrant 1, nothing. If I take it to quadrant 2, his opposite shoulder, still up high, yeah, better effect than nothing. I I gotta take it all the way to 8, which is back here. This foot back here. So I do this. And he falls down. He's all the way down now. He can't kick me, he can't punch me, he can't stop me. From this point I can do whatever I want. He's down. When you bend someone over in this position, ideally you want their forward hand to be on the mat, on the ground. If their hand is not on the ground, pull your hand off the ground, he can kick me from this point. Just like kick. Ah, that's bad. Alright, so if I don't crank this to get his hand on the ground, at this point he can't do nothing. If he looks at me, that means I'm not cranking right. Try to look at me, go ahead, try. Go ahead, look at me. It hurts. If it hurts bad enough, can't look at you. Like, if I have a very hot stove, I walk over and I touch that stove, what do you think about this? What do? You go, woo! Pull your hand away, you look away. You don't even want to look at it. You look away, you pull your hand away, your other hand wants to meet it, and you got to get away from that. You go, this first though, then you do this, because this hand feels sympathy for this pain, okay? So watch as I crank, I've got to do it fast enough to prevent that from coming here, and to prevent him from looking at it, and being able to come back to strike me. This is exactly what I did. Now, you look at his hand in this direction with the camera. When I turn his hand over, I'm not just pushing these fingers to his elbow, I'm also twisting his hand this direction, like this, and then I'm rolling it to quadrant 8 while keeping all of that pressure and all that tightness in there. Okay? Remember I mentioned creating a base. This is a good example of finger lock. When I crank this finger lock, as you can see I've got my pinky base on the back of his knuckles here, and I'm using the top of my hand, the webbing of my hand, to push against the top of his finger like so. He's going to drop. Watch, I point the finger down where I point he goes. Alright? He has to drop because he's got to get away from the pain. His body says, I don't want anything to break or tear, so he's got to relieve pressure from where I'm cranking it at. So look, he comes forward and his elbow comes to me. That relieved pressure. So I must create a base, like I talked about. Both hands are involved in this. I won't let his elbow come to me. Watch now. That hurts much, 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 much worse. I've got a really nasty base at this point. Okay? Now, he grabs, reach across, strike, turn the palm over, pull down. This motion is quadrant 8. The next joint lock is going to be added to the reverse wrist lock. It's going to be the chicken wing. Right? Same technique. He grabs me. This guy's already made it his mind. He's going to whoop me. He don't like me for whatever reason. I reach across and I smack him. I like to smack the nose because when you hit the nose, what happens? The eyes close, they water. He goes, oh! You get hit in the nose, you go like this. You go, oh my God, my nose. Okay? He wants to pull this hand off of me. He's going to give me the hand. Bang! Nope, you can't grab your nose. I go to the reverse wrist lock and I drop him down where I get his base. I want to get his hand on the ground, like that. From here, I'm going to take the hand that I'm not using to crank. I'm going to grasp this thumb. Just grab it like I'm grabbing a handle. I'm going to grasp this thumb, just like this. I always point my index finger so I know where I'm going. I grab his thumb. I'm going to raise his elbow, almost like I'm doing a hammer lock. I'm going to rotate inboard. See how I had to step in? Watch my feet closely. Here, grab, smack, and step at the same time. Rotating towards his kidneys. I'm pointing towards his kidneys and then out towards the front of the broom, like so. When I get to here, his elbow is what? It's loose. I have to create a base. This is too much play. So I tuck it right in here to my arm. Cranking motion is this circular motion. This is extremely painful. Extremely painful. His pinky finger does not want to meet the back of his hand back here, so I crank it in that manner. Alright, go back. Reverse wrist lock. Opposite hand grabs the thumb. Step in, raise the elbow, turning in towards his kidneys, creating a base like so. If I want to reverse this and come out of this, back to reverse wrist lock, I just go the opposite direction. I step away, point his hand out, and switch hands. I'm right back to square one. Stop. Once again, I get grabbed. I've already done the reverse wrist lock, transition into a gooseneck. I'm going to show you how to do a throw off of this with the basic wrist lock throw. He grabbed me. I reach across the opposite hand. I grab him back. I strike him in the face to get his hand off me. I feel the hand, turn it towards him. I must use the quadrant theory down to quadrant 8 to get him to drop to his hands and knees. Like this. And grasp the thumb. Just like this. I step in with my forward foot, raising his elbow, turning my index finger towards his kidneys, towards the front of the room, circling, being cautious to keep his knuckles above my radius and my arm. So I turn just like this. See how his knuckles stayed above my wrist? Go back here. Grab. His knuckles meet the inner side of my wrist, the inward portion of my wrist. Step in, raise the elbow, turn circling in. We're both facing the same direction. I was facing him. Now I'm facing the front. I'm facing him. I'm facing the front. The crank is this motion. It's painful. Now, the main point of control here for this lock, first of all, is the base I created between my arm and my ribs because I don't want his elbow to get away. Raise your elbow. Oh, he's out. Now I don't have him anymore. Nope, stay right here. Okay? When I get to here, I've got his thumb with my thumb. You see his picture, like if I'm in the military and I'm saluting. Right? So here, I crank out for a salute motion. My opposite hand reaches in. If you look at the crease of his thumb, I'm going to create a fulcrum here with my thumb against the crease of his wrist. My middle finger, my index finger, or my ring finger, whichever reaches all the way across to the metacarpal between the pinky and the ring finger, like so. I reach across that middle finger, and I find that groove. You see where I'm touching the groove right here on the camera? I follow that groove all the way down to where it stops, where it meets all the tiny group of bones in the wrist. Okay? When I get to there, that's called triple warmer 3. I press. I get a response. I no longer need this hand. I've got control here. The wrist stayed in the same position. Look. Chicken wing. Now I'm in the basic wrist lock. This is reverse basic wrist lock. You look at my feet from this point. When I pull this hand away, immediately, as soon as I pull this hand away, I step back with my opposite foot, my wate, which means turn around in Japanese. I step back, pointing his fingers where I want him to fall to. There's laser light shooting out of his fingers. Wherever I point his fingers to is where he'll fall. If I point over here, he falls over here. Sorry, my sister. Are you all right? Yeah. If I point right back here, he falls right there. Wherever I want him to fall to, he'll fall. Like that. Start from the beginning. He grabs. I reach across the opposite hand, I grab him, and I strike. Feel his hand off, turn. Quadrant 3, circle to quadrant 8. Opposite hand, grasp the thumb. Raise the elbow, step in with the forward foot, turning into the chicken wing. Raise my hand, controlling the thumb. My opposite hand reaches up and grasps the hand in triple warmer 3. I take my opposite foot, pull my hand I was using out, Owate, turning, throwing him down. When I get to this point, I'm going to step across, turning his hand back over like so. I'm back in the original starting position. From here, I can go right back to the chicken wing. Watch. Reverse wrist lock. Grab the thumb. Raise the elbow. Come on up for me, sir. Raise the elbow. Don't go back down, sir. I can do this all day long. I can drag him around, do whatever I want to do with him from these locks. Stop it. I'm going to show you a variation of this off the reverse wrist lock. He grabs me. Before he has a chance to hit me, I grab him and strike him first. I turn his hand over, same thing, base, or this is reverse wrist lock. Opposed to grabbing here and doing the chicken wing, all right, I'm going to switch hands and control him like so. Now I could kick him, or I could kick him here, or I can ass kick him, or I can punch him, I can do all those different things, but I want to do something different. I want to throw him. I'm going to let the ground do the work for me. I can so the camera can see him. I reach across the opposite hand and I strike. I turn him over. I switch hands. This is a very, very difficult lock to do. It's also a very, very painful lock, more painful than the chicken wing. I switched hands, so now the opposite hand, the hand closest to his head, I can reach up like I'm grabbing the handle, just like I grabbed the thumb on the other side. I grasp his pinky and his ring finger. Your finger, coach. I reach up and I grasp his fingers. Watch here. I must bend his fingers back in this direction and also turn his palm over, like this, raising his palm to the ceiling. Wherever I take his palm is where he'll go. So I grasp the fingers, I turn over, and I raise. This is painful. He comes all the way up to his toes because it hurts so bad. Okay? I can't hold him here forever. So from here, watch. Those of you who do kata, this is an inner forearm block. Inner forearm block. That's what I'm doing. Reverse wrist lock, switch hand grasp, raise, inner forearm block. The opposite hand that I let go with comes palm up. I reach up and I grasp his hand. Can you see here? Okay with the camera? I grasp his hand like this. Now many people when they try to do this throw, they'll keep the forearm level to the ground, horizontal to the ground. That's a different technique. Then I got to focus on a lock. I don't want to throw him from here. I want to raise his elbow to the ceiling, keeping his forearm vertical from the floor. The crank is this direction, this direction. I crank it with just my hand. That small circle cranks around. It's very painful. He's going to come back to me because he's got to do what? He's got to get away from the pain. So his natural response is to circle back to me. I've got to do something from this point quickly, otherwise he's going to spin back and elbow me in the back of the head, like that. I know that's coming, so I've got to sit here that way before it's too late. Go back to the beginning. I'll show you how to throw from here. Grab, strike, turn over, switch hand, grab the fingers, raise, inner forearm block, cat stance, grasp the hand. Now watch here. He goes, throw. If someone doesn't know how to do a break fall, when you throw them, they're going to do what, coach? They're going to land on their face. If they're on concrete, if there's some steps there, if there's a big tree there, if there's a chair there, a table there, the front door, my car door, the mirror on the car, I decide I want to throw him into that, guess where he's going? He's going into that. You can't stop him. That's my choice. All right? So no matter what, this motion, I'm not going to tell you with this going break fall. He's going to naturally go towards the ground slowly. That's what they're going to do. Just like that, because he doesn't know he needs to tuck his head and roll. Go ahead and do a break fall. This is what a break fall looks like. He knows how to fall because he learned that in class. You learn how to fall, you don't get hurt. One more time, demonstration, grab, do it again. Grab him, strike, turn his hand over, switch hands, grasp the finger, raise the palm. Inner forearm block, grab and throw. I don't wait. As soon as I get this, I throw it. He's gone. I don't need him no more. Now I go to whoever else is left. All right. I want to take the time to thank my students for coming out here. They are all students at Northview High School here in Brazil, Indiana. This is Brandy Darvin. This is Hayden Ray. This is Kempo Provides. All that came out here so I can put this video together for your viewing pleasure. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. You can find us on YouTube, keyword HTWMA, which stands for House of the True Way Martial Arts. Shoot us an email at htwma@yahoo.com or just stop by. We're here all the time. This is open to anybody. If you've trained for 30 years or if you've never trained before in your life, you are welcome to walk in these doors. I've got a student who was a brown belt in Kempo in 1975. He walked in here and decided to train, and he loves it. So feel free to stop by. Thank you for your time, and have a good day.